What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative Podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Sherman Webb Middlebrooks, the lifelong Buffalo resident and full-time black man. Follow me at the full-time black man. And as always, I'm here with my co-pilot, my player partner, the good brother.
What's happening? I'm glad to be back. Feel like it's been a little too long. Sherman, what's been going on with you?
Oh, man. So a lot, but nothing much at the same time. Recently I would say I went through kind of like a mental health kind of like journey. Like I had it was weird. It was out of nowhere, like I had like this week of like depression and anxiety, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then like I kind of just like realized like y'all been here before. Like I'm 32. Like this is not my first time going through this. Like so, first of all, it didn't kill you last time. Like you've been through this before. What worked last time? What didn't work last time? Avoid what didn't work. Do what does work. Get over this in a week. And so like I set my mind to that, and like I just kind of did some of the things that did work. I communicated what was going on with me to the people that I needed to communicate with, and so yeah, I'm kind of like proud of myself in a way for like having all this knowledge, doing this work, and then like actually applying it when necessary. So like that's kind of like what's been going on with me, been able to manage that.
It's interesting that you say that for a couple of reasons. We just finished our 5th annual Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative conference,
yep.
Healing Invisible Wounds, which had a lot to do with mental health and wellness, and just support for men of color in our community. And it was good, man. Like usually I'm really hard and critical about just the work. You know what I'm saying? Anytime we produce something, because I want it to be high quality and beneficial to people and so forth. But this one was good in the sense that we had good speakers, and I just got the sense that folks really took something away from it, right? The whole idea was that we would destigmatize mental health support for black men or men of color in our community. And, the sore spot for me was that we didn't have more men, especially on Saturday. Like, I thought, all right, we're going to dedicate Saturday to the guys. That indirectly happened, but then we didn't really get a lot of men, right? So I'm like, yo, what is it going to take for men to show up outside of football or, like, entertainment, right? But overall, I think we got the job done. I appreciate folks like you who did workshops, who are planning committee, stuff like that. But to hear you talk about your own personal journey in full transparency like that is what we want to see more of, right? We want to hear more of from guys or men in our community.
So, in keeping with the full transparency, so like that was one of the sources of my anxiety. Because I looked at the program like, Dr. Such and Such, Dr. Such and Such, me. Like, whoa. This dude got me like presenting and doing workshops with all these doctors. Like, whoa, hold on. So I'm like, so whatever I do, like, and I'm an irrationally confident individual. I'm just in my mind, I'm just like, whatever I have or what I do has to be on par with what these doctors and professors and researchers are doing. Mm-hmm. So for me, like, I had to take like a different approach. Mm-hmm. Usually I'm like, I'm just gonna show up and be Sherman. Yeah. I'm just gonna do my thing and it's gonna work out the way it's always kind of worked out for me. Just turn on the mic, turn on the camera, or just tell me when the workshop starts, and I got it from there. Yeah. But I was like, you gotta like think this through. So I got in my head a little bit too much, and then I just like went back to like what I knew, and I was really facilitating like a conversation. Yeah. And instead of like trying to put so much pressure on myself for like I'm gonna teach them this and they gonna walk away knowing this, it was just like how can I create like a space where people just show up no matter who shows up, feel safe to have a conversation and talk about things maybe they never talked about before, realizing like that's my gift, that's my skill, not necessarily like imparting stuff in people's head, but creating a vibe, creating a space where people feel comfortable. And so once I like settled in and recognized like who I was, a little bit of that anxiety went away. And then once it was over with, I was like, all right, cool. Took my daughter to dance, and then like I woke up the next day and all like the anxiety and stuff went away. It was that in the midst of like doing other stuff too, because one of the things that I think is an issue with like us as men, and I struggle with this too, is like toxic productivity. So if somebody presents an opportunity to me, like I'm gonna always find a way to say yes before I ever look for a way to say no. Like I'm gonna try to move something around the schedule, reschedule something else. Like look at the rarity of this opportunity. Like is this a one-time opportunity? Can like I reschedule something else and still do this? So like I had like said yes to a lot of things, had a lot of things on my plate, in addition to like the pressure of trying to put on like a good workshop. And so again, once I recognized that that's what was going on, that it wasn't some invisible force that was like making me feel this way, I'm like, all right, just address what's going on, like head on.
Wow. Toxic productivity. I've never heard that before, but I feel it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I experience it a lot. Because similar to you, people like Daniel, who we had on, like we had this mentality where we don't cut it off sometimes, and it's hard to say no. You know what I'm saying? That's interesting coming from you, hearing from you, not the toxic productivity, but the piece where you talked about how you had anxiety around a workshop, because that's like you said, like that's your thing. Anytime I think about facilitators and stuff like that, like I think about people like you, because you always please the crowd. Folks always are complimenting your style and stuff like that. So to hear you say that, and you always seem to come across as very self-confident. So I would have never guessed that the title thing got you caught up for a little bit like that. Yeah. It's funny though, because we had a gentleman out of Georgia State University, J.L. Adolph, who presented on Saturday about like hip hop and fatherhood.
Yeah, I
and
love
so
that
forth.
presentation.
Yeah, and JL, man, I love him. Super humble. He wasn't tripping off no title. He was like, yeah, the PhD thing. Like he wasn't tripping on that at all. And similar people like Dr. Chris, from University of Buffalo, never tripping on like their title and status. They just add so much value to people's lives. So even if you were to get the PhD, like I don't even think that would matter in relation to, the humility that you bring to various spaces and so forth. So I'm glad you were there, and I know you were well received.
Right. Appreciate you for having me, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, most definitely.
So what else is there?
Oh man, just working with like these young people, and just working with different kinds of young people. So I'm not sure if anybody else out there like has teenagers or has little ones, but like the work that I do, not only do we work with like dads and men, but like I'm working with young people from like 6 to like 24 in different capacities, with different like programs and jobs and consulting gigs that I do. And so just working with a lot of these young people is it's a challenge with some of them in like their degree of like apathy. And I'm just trying to figure out like where is it like coming from, and like what we can do as like men, as fathers, as like caring adults in the community to support these young people, and help kind of guide them through, because a lot of them just like they just feel like, what's the point of like putting in work? What's the point of like having a dream or a goal or trying to accomplish it? Like nobody's gonna support them. Like, and it's, I don't know, I never felt that way. That wasn't my experience growing up. I feel like I'm blessed and I was privileged to like always be in a supportive environment. But I'm just seeing that becoming like a reoccurring theme. So I'm just trying to figure out what we could do as like men, in the community to support these young people.
It's interesting you use the word apathy. I'm thinking about the conference that we had the year before last with Dr. Cross, and I remember when she asked about what was the opposite of hope. It was apathy, and I think you were one of the only people that knew what it was in the room. She was like, "How did you know that?" Kind of thing. So I remember that happening. But you're right, though. Like I discern that there is this sense of like carelessness, and dare to even say hopelessness to a degree. And it's funny, Jamil and I were just talking about this, in terms of work ethic, where like young people just show up to work any old kind of way, right? So I go to wherever, Walmart, Walgreens, whatever, and you see the young people like with the AirPods in the ear, or they just like their customer service just is crazy, trash. Like trash. And I'm like, man, like where's it? When I was around that age, like I didn't act like that. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter where it was, even gas stations, where like I was trying to be professional to a degree. So I'm just like, man, like what is all this about? I mean, it goes a lot deeper than work, right? Work ethic, to your point, but I don't know, man, and I don't know what we can do. I mean, that might be a good place to start in terms of thinking about what ways we as men can help uplift young people.
Yeah, because I think a lot of what happens is, and I talk a lot from like my own experience that I've overcome and like just share a conversation with folks. But I remember talking to my brother when he turned he 9 years older than me, so ooh dang, he like 41 now. But I remember him asking him when he turned 30, like, did you think this is where you was gonna be like at 30, what you thought you was gonna be doing? And he was like, I didn't think I was gonna make it to 30. Just kind of real nonchalant. So he like, boom, I just hit, and now like I just started figuring it out from there. So I think like a lot of young people like haven't been given like the safety, and the ability and the freedom to like dream with their eyes open and to tap into like their talents and to their interests, because a lot of them are stuck in like survival mode due to like home situations or trying to keep up or whatever's going on in the environment. Right. And so I think like one of the things that we can do is encourage them and create those kinds of spaces for them to just try things and just like it's okay to fail and just figure out what you're good at and what you like to do. Right. So that way they can figure out like who they are and what role do they play in the world. I took some young people to a conference of other young people who were presenting like on their summer workshops and like they created businesses over the summer. And like some of the young people I took was like, why are we here? Why they do this? Why they do that? And in my mind, I was trying to be patient. I was trying to like be calm, but only thing I could say is like, you better hope one of these kids hire your ass like in the future, like, cause you gonna be working for them, because like y'all peers and like they building something and they got the foresight and the vision for whatever reason, whatever resources they got, like that's helping them think a thought that you're not able to think. I'm trying to game you up here and let you understand that like that's your competition or like the person you gonna partner with. So like figure out what it's gonna be. So I don't know. I feel like that's our role too, like as men, just being real with these young people.
Yeah, that's funny. I was having a conversation with a young person yesterday who I mentor at NCCC, Niagara County Community College, so with their Men and Merit program. He was talking to me about his grades and work and all this stuff. Like, and at one point, I'm just like, yo, I gotta be honest with you, like. You gotta stop making excuses about these grades and this and that. Like, yo, like he real charming on the phone. Like, yo, but I see through it, man. I'm just like, yo, you stop with the excuses. But so we talking about like young people becoming business owners, this and that. And that's a good segue into our second part where we're gonna sit down with Dillion, who has a business, him and his wife actually here in Buffalo. And he's going to talk more to us about that. So stay tuned, and we will be having more conversations about what young people are actually doing in the city of Buffalo.
Word.